What you're seeing here is land on the southern half of the Legacy Farms property. You'll notice behind me here is Clinton Street, which is right off East Main. It marks the eastern boundary of this southern half of the property. You'll notice also that behind, on the other side of Clinton Street here, and down the road in both ways a bit, it is a residential neighborhood. And as the proposed Legacy Farms Road is planned to come out on Clinton Street as well as East Main, there were some concerns raised about how it would affect the traffic in this neighborhood. However, that was more the concern of the zoning board or the planning board, not as much the Conservation Commission. Once again, we're on the southern half of the Legacy Farms property. Right along here, this stretch of road is once again Clinton Street, and this is actually the stretch of road where the Legacy Farms road is planning to connect to the rest of the existing road structure. Now, the road is going to go right through this clearing, and further up, what hopefully we'll get to see, it's actually going to cross over several areas that are considered wetlands. And if you bear with me while I read through the list, it's going to pass through land underwater, vegetative wetlands, isolated land subject to flooding, isolated bordering land subject to flooding, and water banks. And all in all, there's about 7,000 square feet of wetlands that are in the path of this planned road. So in order to make up for that, what the Legacy Farms company has to do is actually reconstruct wetlands elsewhere on the property to make up for the wetlands they've destroyed. The federal laws, many of which, like the Wetlands Protection Act, were passed in the Nixon administration, require a 1-to-1 ratio of reconstruction to destruction. But the local bylaw is actually a little more strict than that. That's something that is special just to the town of Hopkinton. It actually requires a 2-to-1 reconstruction to destruction ratio. So for every unit, acre, square foot, etc. of wetlands that are destroyed, the company who destroyed the wetlands must recreate twice as much land at their own expense. Twice as much wetlands, that is. Alright, I've encountered a no trespassing sign, so I'm going to head back and see if I can try to get at this land from another angle. I'll let you know how we go. So I went a bit further in to show you some of the specific wetlands. You see this marshy area over here, signified by these pink markers, is actually some of the wetlands that are going to be possibly disturbed by the road that's going to come through this area. It really is a beautiful area out here. Just while I've been out for the 10 minutes I've been here, about 10 or 15 birds have flown overhead. It's a very nice natural area. Let's see if I can catch one for you. I'm not sure, but it is quite a pity that so much of this land... Oh, there you go. My camera isn't exactly steady, but it's quite a pity that so much of this land is going to be developed in the near future. Alright, so now we're traveling west down East Main Street, heading back towards the center of town. The opposite direction will bring you towards Ashland. We just turned off Clinton Street from the southern land owned by Legacy Farms. Coming up on our right will be the remaining land that is still owned by Weston Nurseries. Weston Nurseries has been here in Hopkinton since 1944. They got around 300 acres there. You can see them coming up on our right. That's what the Weston Nurseries land. The sign will be coming up right here. Yeah, so at their peak, Weston Nurseries actually had, in the 70s and 80s, roughly 900 acres of town land. However, in 2007, they sold the bulk of that property, around 730 acres, to the Legacy Farms company. And that's most of the land we'll be looking at today. As we continue down East Main Street, we're going to be approaching Wilson Street soon. Wilson Street serves as the western boundary to the northern half of the Legacy Farms property. That should be approaching fairly soon on the right side of the road. Let's see. The north and south parts of the Legacy Farms land are roughly equal in size and have a lot of the same aspects. The northern land does not have, here's Wilson straight ahead, does not have the road that is planned for the southern half, but has many of the same residential and recreational facilities in its building plan. The road you see right here is Wilson Street. It is the western border to the northern half of the Legacy Farms property. The open land that will actually be developed and is primarily owned by Legacy Farms is actually on the other side of this wooded area. Most of the land along the wooded area itself is residential. And the wooded area is also what houses most of the wetlands, as you see this specimen here. So not only are these wetlands, not only do these wetlands restrict the activities of the neighboring Legacy Farms property, they also restrict what can be done by residents living along the road itself. And as I learned in my interview, more residential cases are coming up in the Conservation Commission. In the beginning it was primarily commercial, but as the Commission's ability to check on wetlands has become better, with technology increases and increased manpower, as well as increased funds, more residential violations are being caught, and the Commission is more able to punish these people and better protect the wetlands because they have more ability to monitor residential behavior around them. What you're seeing here is the edge of the northern half of the Legacy Farms property. This open space will very soon be, in the next couple of years in fact, be transformed into parking lots and residential homes in a very large residential complex. It is this kind of construction primarily that has gotten the attention of the Conservation Commission. For example, those wetlands we saw previously on Wilson Street, the parking lots lay very close to those wetlands, the parking lots for the residential areas. And several concerns were raised by the Conservation Commission whether trash should be well controlled in these residential areas, because trash cannot be allowed to enter those wetlands, as they are very fragile ecosystems, and that kind of outside disturbance can be very detrimental to them. In addition, some of the other concerns involved snow control. This last winter has shown us, for example, how much snow this area of New England can receive, and there was a concern that if plowing in the parking lots became excessive, that excess snow could be pushed onto the wetlands, again harming the ecosystem for the animals that live there. The plant life could be severely damaged as well. Finally, one of the things that was a concern was water regulation. Uneven runoff can, believe it or not, make a wetland too wet, and that could also harm the ecosystem. The Conservation Commission is really looking to maintain that balance that is absolutely necessary for the ecosystems to survive when in such close proximity to to large developments like this one. And that is a turkey. Just moseying along.